my next question to you was, seeing how that you had a good family of the, the blue blood family, where you had, well, they didn't have the mother because she had passed, but you had the mother, the father situation where the family was able to sit down. My next question was to you, have you dealt with, or do you know anyone that that's on the flip side, whereas they don't have that type of situation? Okay, wait a minute. Are we recording? Okay.
Well, that's what I wanted to say was, I had to learn on my own because it's always just been my mom and I.
Okay.
And I haven't had any siblings. So when I was younger, I'd get bullied, and I would hold that stuff in because I didn't know how to open up. I didn't know who to go to.
Okay.
And I learned at an early age to start opening up to my mom and to start telling her things. And
Okay.
I mean, with it just being my mom and I, it's like that's the only person I learned to trust, because
Okay.
I would go through that stage of telling people something, and then it'd get to the school, and I just would close up.
Okay.
I wouldn't be able to. I don't know. I just.
Okay, so you actually know what I just got through saying about trusting somebody to be able to tell them something, and the next thing you know, you got it. It's all over the school, or somebody now is talking to you. They are bullying you about it. They're pasting it on Facebook or whatever, all the other these pages that they have, social media that they have, which creates a problem, which causes a lot of our children. And it's sad to say that at the early age of 7 years old, talking about suicide, because nobody loves them, nobody cares, they're being picked on, nobody's listening to me. I tell it to my mom tells me everything's going to be all right, just ignore them. You can't ignore everything. That's impossible. You can't ignore, so you've got to learn, you've got to have the proper tools to kind of help you to know how to be able to do. That's just like when they said, just say no to drugs. How you going to say just no to drugs? And people are pushing you, and if you're not careful, they'll put it down your throat. Now what? You've got to be able to find somebody, especially our children. And, if this is going to turn around, if there's going to be peace, it has got to turn around, whereas we've got to start dealing with our children 6 to 12 because they're so vulnerable. And you were just telling us about your paper.
Yeah, in my paper, the ages between 6 and 9, and then 11 and 14 were the age groups like during the rise of Nazism and stuff like that. It was the same thing. People are more they were more manipulable during those times to do horrible things. I mean, just horrible things to people and truly believe it. So if you don't, during that time you're the most vulnerable, and that's the time you're getting the most people doing things to you, or people saying things to you that you may agree or disagree or whatever with. You have no frame of reference in order to actually have any kind of real opinion on something, so you'll go with whatever you have. But if you have nothing, then you'll jump to the first thing that comes along. And that's what part of my paper was on. It was on how terrorists feed on they start teaching them ideology from a very young age a lot of the time, because if the kid doesn't think that there's anything, like if there's nothing else, there's no way for them to even get out of the situation. But they don't know that there's no way to get out of the situation because they were never taught any other way. The situation is the only thing that they know. So it kind of comes back to what you were saying, is that if you don't have a frame of reference, if you don't have that family life to begin, if you don't have something, somebody to talk to, somebody who is outside the situation, or even in the situation, but somebody that can understand and sympathize, or even just somebody from the outside that can empathize, you will jump to the first thing that seems like it could help or whatever, or you'll just bottle it up and it ends up exploding out in some drastic form. And if you don't have that frame of reference to know if something's right or wrong, or to know if you can or can't talk about something, that's when things get bad, in my opinion.
And it to be a true fact, because we all need to have, or to be able to make a choice, a good choice, And if we don't have that, then we can't make it. We make it based upon whatever has been put in front of us.
Exactly. And that was kind of what my paper, was generally about. I mean, it was more, the neuroscience.
Okay, but Trevor, do me a favor, because I want people to realize that your age, for you to be sharing with what you're sharing for, so that they don't either think you're too young or you're too old to know what you're talking about.
Fair point.
Okay, so you're
23.
23. Are you in college?
Just graduated.
Just graduated. Can I ask you, what was your major?
Dual major, neuroscience and psychology with a minor in public health.
All right. All right. My hands are off to you. All right. And Michaela, once again, tell us your age.
I'm 17.
17. And you are still in high school?
Yeah, I'm a senior.
Okay. And your graduation is this year?
Mm-hmm.
All right. My hats are off to you too. But it's so important that parents need to begin to reach out. If you can't help your child, if your child has gotten so far, you've allowed a thing to get so far out of hand, then a parent or guardians need to seek some kind of consultation, counseling for the child. And I want to encourage you that if it don't work at one, please try somebody else. Because we can't eat at everybody's table. We all have different taste buds. We all have different issues, and we need different people that understand where we are. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that I have the answer for everybody. But I do know that I would like to be able to help as many young folks, and that's children, 6 to 12, youth, 13 to 17. And along with that, I have a great desire for families, to help families as a whole, because families are important. And that's the reason why so many people get bent out of shape, because they don't have family. You understand? Mm-hmm. That mother, that father, the siblings, But I'm grateful that we can have extended families. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. That will be able to help us. But if we're so far gone with our way of thinking and our manipulation as to what we're doing is right, so much anger, which has led to resentment and bitterness, then we will be set out to do what some of these other folks and the young man that just did all of this killing. Somebody, he was reaching out, he's asking for help, and it's a sad situation that it had to come to this, that all of these lives had to get lost. Now, is he going to get the help that he needs now? No, because now what they're trying to do is give him the death penalty. Even though, from my understanding, and I won't go into that, he's not going to get it because he pleaded guilty to not get it.
Yeah, he pleaded out so that he wouldn't get the death penalty.
Right.
The death penalty so exists in Florida.
Right. So it's right now is the time that if there's going to be a difference, and if you can believe that at some point in time that there can actually be peace. And first of all, peace begins with you, and myself. It's individual. And once we have peace, then we can achieve what we are striving and our purpose in life, our dreams, our goals in life, if we have peace. We have to have peace, that inner peace within ourselves, to be able to achieve these things in life. Would you agree with me? Mm-hmm. Is there anything you'd like to say before we close out? Mm-hmm. You sure?
Yeah.
You don't want to encourage nobody right now? What about some young people? To trust their minds, or to trust, the help that people are trying to help them?
I mean, yeah, it's always just like, I think that family is an important thing.
Okay.
And especially because I haven't had a big family, that just having that one person that you can trust is really good. So, I mean, you shouldn't have to be afraid to open up to your own parents, and you shouldn't have to, feel so closed in and that you don't have anybody, because you always have someone. And reaching out, there's always going to be a support system around you, so you just have to find it. And
I agree with you 100%. Trevor?
I guess the last thing I would say is I definitely agree with that, is that, something they used to say in the 1800s is, if you don't strike gold, you're not looking hard enough. Something they said during the gold rush. It's like, it's silly to think about, but it's true in a way that, people had, like, there are support systems, there are things in our society that, if you don't have that support system, if you don't have that basic family background that allows you to figure out what's right, figure out what's wrong, figure out who you are and how to deal with your own emotional, physical, whatever they happen to be, problems, then when it comes down to it, you really need to look. You need to search for some way of letting out letting out what you need to say. Because if nobody's listening, then find someone to listen. Find an ear. Find a person that you can talk to. A counselor, a teacher, a friend, a friend's family member, like your friend's mom or something. Anybody that will listen and try to help you through your situation, or even if they're not, something that you're asking literally for help, but just to hear you, to hear what you have to say, because everybody has an opinion, everybody has ideas, and if you bottle those, like you said, if you bottle those up and you never actually give somebody the ability to express their ideas, express their emotions, it just never ends well. It always comes back to that vicious cycle of just, emotion and response, and then emotion and response, and it keeps going around and around, and then you end up with something like a shooting or something like something else, or suicide, or abuse, because the person doesn't have any frame of reference to know what's right or wrong, because they didn't have somebody and didn't know to even they didn't even have enough information to know that they can look outside their family to find something. Like, they don't even know that they should be looking. And I think that is definitely one of the biggest things, is that they need to know that they can look anywhere, that any person that is in their life can be that part of that support system.
Okay, good. So I just want to encourage the followers and to encourage everyone that's in the Peace Center right now, that if you know of someone that need help, some young person, some child, some adult, even at this point, that needs some help with their children and all that, what they're going through, someone that will listen. I just want to encourage you and to let you know that starting the beginning of March, I am taking on new appointments, new clients, to be able to help, even during this time that we're going through with the loss of the young folks that we lost and the adults that we just lost over in Florida, because it didn't just affect them in Florida, it affected a whole lot of us worldwide that happened to have saw that, because somebody could identify with that young man, somebody could identify with all of those students that were running, somebody could identify, and they need help. And so before it get to that point, they would like to receive that help. So I'm encouraging those and the followers to please, if you know someone and you don't have nowhere that you know of that you can take them, that you can email or call for an appointment or call for more information. And it will be in the comment box in the bottom. And to be able to see this further, you can go to YouTube, Dr.JJoncall, and you'll be able to see this whole video in its entirety. And we thank you. And I thank Trevor, and I thank Michaela for being so kind to be able to share your thoughts with the followers, the viewers, and with me. It's so important. And I thank you, because everybody has an opinion, I believe. And we need to reason together and be able to talk about it.